Pregame, a preview of today's starting pitching matchup and our keys to the game. Plus, we'll hear from manager Mike Shildt. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan in the Padres Radio Network. Today the Padres take on the Los Angeles Angels in the second game of a three-game series. Our starting pitching matchup today for the Angels, left-hander Patrick Sandoval, and for the Padres, making his major league debut, right-hander Adam Mazur. Hi, good everyone. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 6:38 p.m. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, you'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. In just a few minutes, we'll check in with Tony Gwynn Jr., and we hear from Adam Mazur. He spoke with the media yesterday inside the Padres clubhouse. But first, let's set the table, brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa, Vista, and Oceanside. Padres entered today with a record of 32-31. Padres won 2 out of 3 in Kansas City to begin this road trip, but they've now lost 2 in a row, 1 in Kansas City and then 1 in Anaheim last night. Padres have won 8 out of their last 10 series, but they'll need a win tonight and tomorrow to win this series. Meanwhile, the Angels are 22-38 on the year. They had a 5-game losing skid snapped last night. It's a big day for Adam Mazur. The right-hander is ranked as the Padres' 5th best prospect according to MLB.com. He was a second-round pick by the Padres in 2022 after winning Big Ten Pitcher of the Year at the University of Iowa. Mazur will make his major league debut today. He fills the place of Yu Darvish in the Padres rotation. Darvish is on the IL right now with a left groin strain. Before we turn our full attention to today's game, let's quickly recap yesterday.
How did the Padres fare in their last game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind. Presented by Hamul Casino. With thrilling slots and tables and all the best rewards, Hamul Casino has all the fun you're looking for. Hamul Casino. Fun above all else.
Last night, the Padres facing Angels starter lefty Tyler Anderson. There were 2 out and nobody on in the first inning for Manny Machado.
1-2, Manny hits it in the air to deep left center field. Look out in your Belinda. Into the rock pile, a home run for Machado. He has always hit the Angels well, and that continues here tonight. Padres take a 1-0 lead in the first.
That ended Manny's career-long streak of 99 at-bats without a home run. Meanwhile, Matt Waldron got off to a great start, 3 scoreless innings to begin his night. That brought us to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Padres still ahead 1-0. Waldron allowed a 1-out single to Luis Rengifo. Rengifo stole second. That set things up for Willie Calhoun.
Here's the pitch on the way, and a hard hit liner up the middle into center. Base hit, Rengifo being waved. On his way, he'll come in and score. RBI single, Willie Calhoun, and the Angels have tied it up 1-1 here in the 4th.
We then stayed tied at 1. Matt Waldron was great once again. He threw 6 innings and a third, allowed just 1 run. Padres, meanwhile, had a lot of scoring opportunities. They left 2 on in the 6th inning, 2 on in the 7th inning, and 2 on in the 8th inning. Angels had their big scoring chance in the bottom half of the 8th. The go-ahead run was on third base with 1 out for pinch hitter Luis Guillorme.
Pitch swung on, sent in the air to center field, fairly deep, should be deep enough. Merrill will make the catch. Adele tags from third, he will score easily. A pinch hit, sac fly for Guillorme, and the Angels have their first lead of the night, 2-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
That was the game-deciding run. Padres did not get anything in the top of the 9th inning. They lost the series opener in Anaheim. Final score, Angels 2 and the Padres 1. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back today with right-hander Adam Mazur making his major league debut. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me or Instagram DM me at SammyLev, SammyLev, or comment on our video streams. May just read some of your comments coming up a little bit later. Let's go to the Big A.
Let's go inside the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup from Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Tony, let's begin with one of the really good things when we look at today's starting lineup, and that is Luis Arraez back at the top of the lineup for the Padres. We saw the Padres for whatever it's worth. Yes, he's back in there. We saw the Padres for whatever it's worth. Scored just one run yesterday without Luis in the lineup. So from what we've seen this first month with Luis Arraez in a Padre uniform, when he's in that lineup, Tony, how does he change perhaps the dynamic of what this offense is?
I think yesterday actually was probably your best example. And listen, Jerickson has been phenomenal really wherever you put him. But you saw how the lineup got shorter without Arraez in there, right? I mean, typically in that leadoff spot, he sets the tone. He's not a quick at-bat unless he's getting a hit in the first couple of pitches. And you kind of get a chance to see what the starter has. And I think Jerickson was able to do that, but as you start to go down each lineup, I mean, you've lost one of those guys that puts a lot of pressure on the starting pitcher from the moment the game starts. And I think his absence was definitely felt in last night's game.
A positive from last night, Manny Machado hitting his first home run in a while. And I'll get into some of the numbers a little bit later, Tony. But there are some signs that Manny is starting to come around. What have you seen from Manny Machado in really the last couple of weeks here?
Really for both him and Toddy, watching them, it's chase. Like usually when the ball's in the zone, they do damage. It's just how often are they going to get an opportunity if they're chasing out of the zone? And I've seen from both Manny and Toddy a lack of chase, which is good because that means the swings they're taking are swings are pitches in the zone. And so you're going to have good results when that's happening. I think Kim is kind of in the same boat. I don't know that his issue has been necessarily chase, but you're starting to see him drive the ball left center, right center, and those are good signs for Kim. So, as bad as yesterday was, there is signs that, the big guys are starting to come out.
Let's focus on the offense before we get to the starting pitcher tonight for the Padres making his major league debut, Adam Mazur. The offense again against the left-hander yesterday. It was quiet. It was a really good left-hander having a really good season in Tyler Anderson. And again, Tony, I'm going to get more into the numbers a little bit later, but there's no denying that against left-handed starters, this team continues to struggle for the most part offensively. I suppose, Tony, 60-plus games in now as we continue to see this trend. What do you make of it, the struggles against lefties at this point?
I can't make anything of it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, honestly. And you're right. I mean, I know Anderson's having a good season, but, he's capable of being got. And yesterday, the Padres kind of we've seen them kind of do the same things they've done against lefties, and it's not necessarily strikeouts. They don't punch out a lot. This is a team that doesn't punch out a lot, but there was no real hard contact outside of the few opportunities. And so when it's going to be like that, that only magnifies some of the base running blunders that I wouldn't call them blunders, but base running mistakes they made yesterday in yesterday's ball game, because you didn't really have that many opportunities. And so when you're giving them up whatever opportunities you have, and the game that ends up being a 2-1 ball game, it's really magnified.
And the Padres facing another left-handed starter in Patrick Sandoval here today. Tony, let's focus on the other side of this pitching matchup. That is right-hander Adam Mazur on the mound for the Padres, making his major league debut, his second-round pick out of the University of Iowa in 2022. For Mazur today, Tony, against this Angels lineup, what do you feel like are the keys for him as he makes his first start in the major leagues?
Wow. I mean, first getting his emotions and his energy under control, because inevitably he gets on that mound, that heart is going to be racing, the mind, and you just got to find a way to slow all that down. Adam is known as a strike thrower, so that's the expectation here tonight. But I think all in all, for him, it's really about going out and seizing this opportunity that's in front of him, and going out and just pitching his game. At this point, he's done this a lot in terms of getting on the mound and pitching, and he's got to try to find a way to simplify things tonight, because every part of his body is going to want to magnify everything because of how big the moment is for him.
And like you alluded to, and we'll talk more about it a little bit later, but he is a strike thrower, so that could bode very well for him in his major league debut here tonight. Tony, as always, appreciate the time. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at just before 6:30 as the Padres try to bounce back in Anaheim. Thanks so much as always.
No problem, Sam.
All right, that is Tony Gwynn Jr. here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game set in Anaheim. Couple of notes for you. The Angels are looking to win consecutive home games for the first time this season. The Angels have the worst home record in the major leagues at 8-21. So one of those wins now against the Padres. If you're the Padres, you really want to get a win tonight and try to win this series. This has not been a team in the Angels that has played well really at all, but especially at home this season. The other note about today, just throwing this in here, happy Fernando Tatis Jr. trade day. On this day in 2016, the Padres traded right-hander James Shildt to the Chicago White Sox for right-hander Eric Johnson and, oh, by the way, a 17-year-old shortstop named Fernando Tatis Jr., part of the package that went from Chicago to San Diego. So happy Fernando Tatis Jr. trade day. When we come back, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. A little bit later, we hear from today's starting pitcher Adam Mazur as he gets ready to make his major league debut. We also have our keys to the game, a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and much, much more to come. First pitch at 6:38 in Anaheim on the Padres Radio Network.
You're listening.
Welcome back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. Your water perfected. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios as we walk you up towards first pitch coming up at 6:38 between the Padres and the Angels up in Anaheim. Let's hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. Presented by Sinley Food. Spice up your culinary life.
Like we alluded to in our opening segment, the headlines here today: Adam Mazur, the right-hander out of the University of Iowa, Big Ten Pitcher of the Year in 2022. Really good numbers at AA San Antonio to begin his minor league season here in 2024. He makes his major league debut here today. Luis Arraez, good news on him. He's back in the lineup here today as well. Here was Mike Shildt with the media earlier today.
Luis Arraez back in the lineup today, but at the DH spot, not good enough to play defensively, or just something that you're monitoring?
Yeah, no, we're monitoring it clearly. I mean, he's still got some soreness in there. Feels obviously good enough to be in the lineup tonight and DH, but hadn't thrown yet. You know, try to take a little more stress off of that. Get some work in today throwing, but the DH spot was his spot today.
How nice is it that you have the versatility that you do on this roster, that you're able to come up with different scenarios like this one?
Yeah, it's great. You know, I mean, I get a lot of questions about the different combinations that are possible, but I'd way rather have the combinations and the flexibility that we have with this roster. AJ did a nice job putting it together, and, you know, obviously with Bogey out, create some opportunities, but now we have Solano, Peralta, came off the bench last night, so, you know, we don't really miss a whole lot. We got some moving pieces that allow us to give us a chance to win.
What do you tell a guy ahead of his big league debut on the mound? What do you kind of ask of him?
Don't tell him a lot other than, you know, I talked to him yesterday. I haven't seen him today. It'll be a later report, but I mean, he's here. But, you know, just go and just be you. Don't make it any bigger. You know, go execute what got you here and enjoy it.
Do you take any time to appreciate that, like the journey that he's been on here and the fact that he is getting this opportunity, or is it mostly focused on the game itself?
Yeah, you know, I think it's probably something in reflection. I always encourage people, including myself, to appreciate sometimes where you're at, but also where you've come from, you know, and appreciate the sacrifices that it took. So, you know, it'll be a conversation with Adam to reflect on after tonight's game and enjoy what he did tonight and the accomplishment of being a major league player, one of 23,000 plus in the history of the game. But also look back and appreciate the sacrifices that you had to make pretty much your whole life, including your family members and, you know, all the things that you didn't do in place of, you know, working out and throwing and going to tournaments and all the things that come with being a dedicated, you know, somebody to your craft that allows you to reach the highest level.
That was Padres manager Mike Shildt before today with the media inside the Padres dugout. Let's get to a couple of other items that Mike Shildt addressed here today. Obviously, Jeremiah Estrada has been a big part of the Padres bullpen. Obviously, a lot of success out of the Padres bullpen in the early part of his Padre career. Mike Shildt was asked about his first impressions of Jeremiah Estrada when he first got a chance to see him pitch.
Back in Joe's camp 44 in January, when we talked about, we got him in there, we knew his pitching profile and, you know, his stuff. But then in spring training, when you got to see it live and just having the conversations with him, Ruben, and Ben Fritz, our bullpen coach, and just talking about, you got 8th inning, 9th inning stuff. How do we bridge the gap to get to that spot? And had those conversations, none of which need to be overly public. But conversation took place, and to his credit, he's taken the proverbial opportunity by the horns, and here we are.
Earlier today, a big story breaking. Major League Baseball announcing suspensions for 5 players who violated MLB's sports betting rules and policies. It included Padres infielder, or at least the guy who was on the 40-man roster, and somebody who was around during spring training rehabbing from a knee injury, Tucupita Marcano. He received a permanent ban from baseball, while the A's' Michael Kelly, Padres minor league pitcher Jake Room, Phillies minor leaguer Jose Rodriguez, and D-backs left-hander Andrew Saalfrank all received 1-year suspensions. But again, the lifetime ban for Tucupita Marcano. Mike Shildt earlier today inside the Padres dugout was asked if he had any reaction to Marcano's lifetime ban.
Did not manage him, got to meet him briefly in spring training. He's in rehab. So I got to know him as a person, and I think the person's a really good one. You know, I don't, you know, wasn't with the organization when it happened, so I can't speak to what took place. Clearly, it's something that rightfully baseball takes very seriously, and as they should. And you know, there's always consequences to your actions. but my understanding in my personal relationship with him, which is very limited, he's a fine young man, and we make mistakes in life, and I don't think he's running from it. He's clearly going to be punished for it. I just hope it doesn't interrupt his life because, again, in talking to him, he's a good guy. And we all make mistakes. Everybody standing here, whether we're in front of the camera or behind the camera, we've done some things that we don't would do different or better. And I just wish him all the best in life because I think he's got a great heart, and I wish him, nothing but good things in the future. He's he doesn't need to be labeled as anything for one mistake.
And I think important to also mention as we, if you missed the news earlier about the suspensions handed out by Major League Baseball, and again, in the case of Tucupita Marcano, a permanent lifetime ban. Marcano and Groom, both members of the Padres organization now, but the betting activities did not occur when they were members of the Padres organization. Marcano, the betting activities occurred when he was a member of the Pirates organization. For Groom, when he was a member of the Red Sox organization, but obviously very sad and disappointing news. Marcano and Groom were around Padres spring training this year, Groom the last couple of years, and obviously, not a great decision on either of those guys' parts, and they're paying the price. Marcano, again, a lifetime ban, and Groom, a 1-year suspension from baseball for, again, violating MLB's sports betting rules and policies. All right, back to baseball. Padres and the Angels at 6:38 coming up in Anaheim. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to kick things up another notch? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not on the Padres Radio Network.
We take a look at the hot category. Fernando Tatis Jr. in the midst of a 9-game hitting streak, batting .361 in that span with a couple of home runs. Luis Arraez back in the Padres lineup here today. He had a base hit and an RBI on Sunday before he came out of the game. Finished that day hitting .340, the best batting average in all of Major League Baseball. Arraez back in the lineup trying to continue an 8-game hitting streak, 12 for 32 in that span. Arraez debuted with the Padres exactly 1 month ago. He's batting .391 in his first 26 games with the Padres. Only Aaron Judge has a higher batting average in the majors during that span. Luis Rengifo batting .368 in his last 10 games, a span of 38 at-bats for Rengifo in that span. In the not category, we take a look at a couple of Padres. Luis Camposano, 0 for his last 25, just 3 for his last 43, going back a span of 13 games. Jake Cronenworth, he's struggling a little bit right now, 4 for his last 26 in a span of 6 games. In the not category for the Angels, we take a look at their offense as a unit. They've scored just 11 runs total in the last 6 games. They've also scored 4 runs or fewer in 11 consecutive games. The Angels have not gone 12 straight games with scoring 4 runs or less since 2008. So this has not been a very productive Angels offense as a unit at all in the last couple of weeks here. So that's who's hot, who's not as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series in Anaheim. When we come back, we'll tell you our keys to the game. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard, and we hear from the guy making his Major League debut, right-hander Adam Mazur on the mound for the Padres here tonight. First pitch coming up in just a little bit. I'm Sam Levitt. You're listening to the Padres Radio Network.
Hey, guys.
Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres radio network. First pitch coming up at 6:38 in Anaheim. Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Angels. Padres trying to bounce back after losing 2-1 last night. We'll see if the Padres can even up this series at a game apiece. Coming up in just a little bit, we'll take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have our keys to the game, and we'll hear from tonight's starting pitcher, the guy making his major league debut, Padres right-hander Adam Mazur. First, let's update you on the injuries for the Padres and the Halos.
Who's in, who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
The big piece of injury news today, Luis Arraez back in the lineup today after missing yesterday's game while dealing with shoulder and neck soreness after a headfirst slide into second base on Sunday. Arraez not in the lineup yesterday after coming out of that game on Sunday, so very good news. Arraez back in there today. He'll DH and lead off for the Padres, so certainly very, very good to see Luis Arraez back in there, just missing one game and back in the lineup here today. As far as the Angels, let's just take a sort of wide lens look at the injuries they're dealing with right now. There are a ton. Anthony Rendon right now on the 60-day IL with a left hamstring strain. Mike Trout got surgery a number of weeks ago for a torn meniscus in his left knee. Miguel Sano dealing with left knee inflammation. Brandon Drury, a left hamstring strain. List goes on and on. They've got a lot of injuries right now. Most recently, Nolan Shawnuel missed 3 games with a thumb injury, but he was back in the lineup yesterday, back in there once again here today. And that's a look at our injuries for the Padres and the Angels as we begin, or I should say, continue this 3-game series. And obviously also important to note that, of course, Adam Mazur is taking the spot of Yu Darvish in the Padres rotation. Darvish put on the IL a handful of days ago with a left groin strain. Obviously, the Padres without both Darvish and Joe Musgrove right now. Musgrove on the IL with that same tricep tendonitis, elbow inflammation type issue that he's been dealing with for a little bit. So those two guys on the IL. Randy Vasquez, a solid start in Kansas City, and his opportunity. And now Adam Mazur gets his chance against the Angels here tonight. Before we hear from Adam Mazur, let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the Bigs and tell you about the scores you need to know in our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Meat, where great taste meets integrity.
We take a look at scores from around the major leagues. Pirates beating the Dodgers 1-0 earlier tonight in Pittsburgh. Tyler Glasnow was good in that game for LA, but the Pirates got 1 run, the Dodgers got none. Pirates win at 1-0. Guardians beat the Royals earlier today, 8-5 in Cleveland. Games going on right now. Brewers and the Phillies tied at 1 in Philadelphia in the 9th inning. Rays ahead of the Marlins, 9-5 in Miami in the 9th inning. Mets ahead of the Nationals, 6-2 in D.C. in the 9th. Yankees 3, Twins 1 in the Bronx, 7th inning there. Orioles and the Blue Jays in Toronto. Orioles a 7-0 lead in the 7th. Braves 7, Red Sox 3, 8th inning at Fenway Park. White Sox blanking the Cubs right now, 5-0 in Chicago in the 5th. Tigers ahead of the Rangers, 2-0 in Arlington in the 5th inning. Astros ahead 2-1 against the Cardinals in Houston. 3rd inning there. Reds and the Rockies in the 3rd. Reds 2, Rockies nothing. And games yet to begin. 2 aside from this one in Anaheim. Mariners and the A's coming up at 6:40. And finally, the Giants and the Diamondbacks at 6:40 in Arizona. That's a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Tuesday. Well, as we've said a number of times, right-hander Adam Mazur making his major league debut for the Padres here tonight. Very, very exciting. Currently ranked as the number 5 prospect in the Padres system. So this is not somebody that is just, some minor leaguer coming up for a spot start. No, he is somebody the Padres consider one of their higher-level pitching prospects and somebody that could play a big role on this team for years and years to come. And we get our first look at Adam Mazur here tonight. Here was Adam Mazur inside the Padres clubhouse yesterday talking about how he found out he was going to the big leagues.
Found out yesterday before our game in El Paso, and then got on a flight this morning and got to the park today.
For you, when you think about your mindset and what it has to be, you're making your potentially major league debut pretty soon here. What is the mindset for you coming from the minors up to the Padres?
I'll just continue to be myself. There's a reason why I'm getting here today, and just go out there and try to get outs and hopefully help the Padres win a game.
What was your reaction when you found out that you were being called up?
Honestly, shocked. There was kind of hints at it, but I didn't really try to pay any attention to it. And then when I found out, just shock, and then it was in front of the whole team too, so I was like, okay, let's keep moving and get on to the next thing. Then went out and called my girlfriend, my parents, and celebrate them a little bit.
You said it was in front of the team. What was their reaction for you?
It was great. It was a great group of guys down there. Got a big pop out of the group, and so super happy to be coming from there, and it was a lot of fun.
You mentioned that you called your girlfriend and your family. Are you anticipating having anyone here for your debut?
Yeah, should be a good group. Excited to see them all again. It's been a little bit with the different camps and stuff preseason. So yeah, I'm happy to see them and excited to have a nice day.
What was that process of finding out? Like how did you get the news specifically?
We had a team meeting that day, and our manager kind of came in and talked about how in El Paso we have the mindset of being the sixth man up for the Padres and just kind of stepping up and helping the team win. And he said that on whenever it is, I'll be going out there and making my debut and helping the Padres hopefully get another win.
So you were shocked. You must have been paying some attention to kind of what was going on with this rotation and thinking there might be a chance. What was that like in the last week? Was it true shock, or were you kind of hopeful, or how did that all go?
You're always hopeful. This is the goal that you have since day one. And then I had a shorter outing on Thursday, and so after that outing, talked with the pitching coach, and he said it could be a good sign. And I didn't hear anything after that, so I was kind of just like, okay, preparing myself for next Wednesday at this point to go out there and pitch again for them, and then got the call up yesterday.
What has been working so well for you in the minors this season?
Really just tagging the zone and trusting my stuff. Made some minor tweaks to pitch grips while I was there and just really felt comfortable with those pitches, and then looking to continue to go forward with them.
Whenever you look at the numbers, for the most part, they're not great at AAA for Padres pitchers, but I understand that a lot of these outings were pretty good, save for maybe a few pitches. Like, what did you learn in El Paso? Pitching.
Definitely to limit those couple pitches. You make a bad pitch there, you're gonna pay for it. So definitely in my outings, I realized, okay, you really gotta hit your targets a lot more and trust your catchers with what they're calling and where they're setting up and everything, and just go out there and attack.
So in that way, it's like good preparation for the majors.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta be really perfect down there if you want to have a really good outing. And then just having the older guys there too really helped me. Kind of just learning what their mindset is when they're going into pitch and kind of how they attack a game plan.
Seems like your results against lefties are better this year. What do you attribute that to?
I think just feeling comfortable with 3 and 4 pitches now. I felt like last year was really fastball slider, and this year I've integrated the curveball and the changeup a lot more.
Which of those pitches has taken the biggest step forward for you?
I'd say curveball, just because the changeup grip has changed quite a bit. But I feel like now I really have a comfortable changeup grip that I'm able to locate a lot better and just have a lot better feel for.
That was right-hander Adam Mazur inside the Padres clubhouse yesterday after he arrived to Anaheim. And now Adam Mazur getting ready to make his Major League debut against the Angels. We'll talk plenty more about Mazur here in a second. As always, if you want to get involved on our pregame coverage, you can do that in a number of different ways. You can tweet at me at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DM's open as well. Sammy Lev there too. Same handle, same spelling there. And if you want to comment on our video streams, you can do that as well. Let me know, what is your key to tonight's game against the Angels? I may just read one of your keys coming up in just a little bit. But for now, let me give you my keys to the game.
How will the Padres unlock a victory in today's game? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Honor Buick GMC Hummer in National City.
Key number 1, Adam Mazur doing what he's done best in the minor leagues, and that is throw strikes. Mazur has struck out 140 batters and walked only 26 in 147 career minor league innings. Mazur doesn't need to be perfect tonight. Look, I know the Angels lineup is not great, but they're major leaguers. And on any given night, any major league lineup can hit any major league pitcher. We see it all the time. So he doesn't have to be perfect tonight, but what you do want Adam Mazur to do is do what he's always done as a pro, and that is throw strikes, keep you in the game, don't walk people. So Adam Mazur just throwing strikes, doing what he's done for a couple of years in the minor leagues. That's key number 1. Key number 2, do damage against Patrick Sandoval's fastballs. Let me explain. Opponents are batting .429 with a .587 slugging percentage against Sandoval's four-seamer and sinker this season. Opponents are batting just .208 with a .341 slugging percentage against Sandoval's non-fastballs in his pitch mix. So when you get the Sandoval, typically this year it's been against either the variation of the fastball, the four-seamer, or the sinker. Do damage against that sinker and that four-seamer tonight. That's key number 2. Key number 3, Padres offense needs to show up against the lefty starter. A credit to our friend Chris Ello of Gwynn and Chris, who did this research today, and I promised Chris that I'd work this into today's pregame show. So Chris, here we go. Great research here. In the last 15 games where the Padres have faced the left-handed starting pitcher, those pitchers have a 1.37 ERA. Those lefties, the left-handed starters, the last 15 of them against the Padres, have allowed just 1 or 0 runs in 12 of their 15 starts. And on top of that, the Padres are just 4-11 in the last 15 games where they have faced a left-handed starting pitcher. Think about that for a second. 4-11 against lefty starting pitchers with a lineup that you feel can or should be able to hit lefties pretty well. The Padres got to turn this trend around. I've talked about the numbers in every way I can now the last couple of weeks. They got to hit lefties better. They got to. That's key number 3. And key number 4, speaking of the offense doing better here tonight, how about Jurickson Profar? He's key number 4 to tonight's game. Profar continues to be great. Ranked second in all of Major League Baseball with a .330 batting average. Profar's .426 on-base percentage is the best in the major leagues. And Profar's .921 OPS ranks 9th in the major leagues. He's reached base safely in 14 of his last 28 plate appearances. Had a couple of hits last night. Jurickson Profar always seems to be in the middle of everything for this Padres lineup. He's key number 4, and that's a look at our keys to the game. When we come back, we tell you about one Padre that may be slowly coming around, and we dive into our pitching matchup between right-hander Adam Mazur and left-hander Patrick Sandoval on the mound for the Angels here tonight. First pitch coming up at 6:38 in Anaheim. We go out to Jesse Agler and Tony Gwynn Jr. in just about 10 minutes, so stay tuned. An exciting night of Padres baseball here in Southern California coming your way on the Padres Radio Network.
Stick around.
Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network as we get ready for Game 2 of this 3-game series between the Padres and the Angels. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. We'll dive into our pitching matchup between Adam Mazur and Patrick Sandoval in just a moment. But first, let's tell you what to watch for in tonight's game.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovementsSD.com.
Are we slowly seeing Manny become Manny again? Manny Machado snapped his career-long homerless skid at 99 at-bats with his first-inning home run last night. Was that a sign of Manny getting back to being Manny after what's been such a tough start to his season? Even beyond the home run, there are some other signs. Machado is batting .316 with a .400 on-base percentage in his last 16 games. And also, Kevin Acee this morning in the San Diego Union Tribune had this. Machado has been hitting the ball more frequently and harder recently. Of his 46 balls in play since May 19th, 15 of them have been hit at 102 miles per hour or harder. So he's hitting the ball harder as of late. Hit a home run against the lefty last night. Can he do something like that against Angels left-hander Patrick Sandoval here tonight? That's what to watch for in today's game. I'll give myself some credit. Yesterday, during our Keys to the Game, I said, Manny Machado, how about a home run? Well, Manny hit a home run in yesterday's game, so I'm trying the same thing here tonight. Focus on Manny and what to watch for. We'll see if Manny can do something cool against Patrick Sandoval in this ball game coming up in just a matter of minutes. Now let's dive into our pitching matchup between Adam Mazur and Patrick Sandoval.
Let's take a look at who's on the bump today with our starting pitching preview on the Padres Radio Network.
On the mound for the Padres, right-hander Adam Mazur, the 23-year-old making his major league debut, second-round pick by the Padres in 2022 from the University of Iowa. He was the Big Ten Pitcher of the Year in 2022. This season in the minor leagues, a 1.95 ERA and 6 starts at AA, a 7.11 ERA and 4 starts at AAA. But as always, take those Pacific Coast League numbers with a big grain of salt. Had a short start last week at Round Rock, the Rangers' AAA affiliate, just 2 innings, 49 pitches. He's thrown as many as 87 pitches this season. Let's focus on his splits during the 6 starts at AA, where he was great. Righties hit 188 against him. Lefties hit 222 against Mazur. Like we said earlier, control is his calling card. Just 9 walks allowed this season in 51-plus innings in the minor leagues. The arsenal for Mazur: 4-seam fastball, slider, changeup, curveball. His slider has long been considered his best off-speed pitch. On the mound for the Angels, left-hander Patrick Sandoval. The 27-year-old is 2-8 with a 5.34 ERA this season. 12 starts, 60 innings and 2/3. He struck out 64, walked 27. Last start against the Yankees, a good one. 6 innings, 2 earned runs given up. The start before that, not a good one. 3 2/3 innings, 8 earned runs given up on 6 hits. He faced the Padres last season at Petco Park. 5 innings, 1 earned run given up. The arsenal for Sandoval: a changeup, slider, sinker, 4-seam fastball, curveball, and a sweeper. And that's a look at our starting pitching matchup here today between right-hander Adam Mazur and left-hander Patrick Sandoval. One matchup to watch here tonight against Sandoval: Jurickson Profar against him. Profar in his career against Sandoval, 4 for 5 with a couple of home runs. We'll see how Pro does against the left-hander here tonight. You've been listening to the EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on the Padres Radio Network. EcoWater SoCal. Your water should be perfect. Find them online at EcoWaterSoCal.com. When we come back, Jesse Agler, Tony Gwynn Jr. have the full starting lineups, first pitch, and then all the play-by-play. I'll talk to you on our post-game show. You're listening to your home for San Diego Padres baseball, 97.3 The Fan, and the Padres Radio Network. Enjoy the game, everybody.